And hours ago, earlier today, the Independent National Electoral Commission says that the petition for the recall of Senator representing the Kogi Central District has not met the requirements of Section 69, the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. This is from their recent statement, press statement they gave out to them, notifying the public that that petition that was submitted to the commission on Monday, 24th of March, by representatives of the petitions who were registered voters in the constituency has not met the requirements necessary for the consideration of the Independent National Electoral Commission, and now saying that no further action shall be taken on the petition. That is what I just, of course, development coming from the concerns from the Kogi Senatorial District, Central Senatorial District, Senator Natasha, that has been at the back and forth of representation capacity and suspension of the National Assembly for the 6 months' time. Hello everyone, welcome to Big Talk. Tonight we'll be turning attention to the recent tribunal sitting here in Abuja determining the status of Edo State gubernatorial election. Now the national leadership of the PDP has rejected that judgment. Of course, they are saying that the ruling of the Edo State governorship tribunal, describing it as a miscarriage of justice and a betrayal of public trust. The party expressed concern over the tribunal's decision to dismiss its petition despite what it described as overwhelming evidence of electoral malpractice in the 24th September 2024 governorship election. Joining us tonight is the chieftain of the All Progressive Congress, Chief Aruna Bremo, to dissect all of these developments coming from the Edo Election Tribunal. Thanks so much for joining us, Chief.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure.
Yes, I mean, we have keenly watched and monitored the situation coming from the tribunal sitting. PDP are saying that there is a miscarriage of justice. And this time, they are making it very clear that it's not a matter of if democracy has failed, but there is a miscarriage of justice. Do you feel that whatever judgment, I understand you may not be a lawyer, but from the layman understanding, what can you interpret from the judgment that we had yesterday?
Yeah, thank you very much. The PDP point is expected. My grandmother used to say that you don't beat a child and expect it not to cry. So the whaley is just a second phase of the whaley got activated yesterday. So, and thank God they have resolved also to go appeal. That means they still believe in the system, the judicial system. There was nothing like miscarriage of justice. In the beginning of this, in one of our programs, in one of the media forums, I did mention and said that you don't build something on nothing. You don't attempt it at all. There must be a base upon which you want to challenge what is it you are challenging. You went to the tribunal on the two major prayers. First of all, that the election that you participated in never complied with the provision of the Electoral Act 2022 as amended. One of their grounds. The second grounds was that there was overvoting. These issues and the third one was they should be declared winner. Obviously, where you said there was overvoting, you want to be declared winner. An election you said did not comply with Electoral Act 2022, the entire process, you want to be declared winner in that. So from the beginning, they built something upon nothing, and they went to dump all sorts of documents at the tribunal. I was engaging one of their media member today, who's also ironically is a lawyer on social media. He was referring to Section 137 on the Electoral Act that provided, as amended, the Electoral Act 2022, that gave room for evidence to be document-based. And forget to realize, under the Evidence Act of 2015, as also amended, the quality of evidence is not about admission of your motion. It's not about admissibility of evidence. It's not enough for judgment to be taken by any judge. They admitted your evidence. Fine, you tender it, they admit it. How have you utilized what you tendered? How have you been able to dissect it and show and convince the judges beyond reasonable doubt that actually your evidence has the quality of, it has the weight, number one, the factor that influence evidence, substantial. Have you substantiated your claim, relevance, consistency, probity, the integrity of such evidence? Those are the qualities, these are what judges look for in any evidence. We had 4,800 and something polling unit results from Edo State. You only went to court to first of all challenge 700 and something. You did not even challenge about half under evidence, and that is not even substantial enough. Inside the 700 and something, you brought materials to cover, document to cover 400 and something. From there, you reduce that you are going to bring oral evidence. You are going to bring witnesses of about 100 witnesses. You came down, you presented only 19. And you presented 16 result sheets. Out of the 16, only 4 were stamped by INEC. What made a result sheet valid under the same electoral act that they allude to at their own convenience? Number one, the presiding officer at the polling unit must sign, because he is the representative of the INEC national chairman. At that polling unit, his signature, his or her signature on the result sheet, on every material of the election, is sacrosanct. It proved, that is the probity, it proved the integrity of the electoral process. You are presenting a result sheet that was not signed by a presiding officer. What the second thing that made the result sheet to be valid, all parties involved in the election must sign the result sheet. You are presenting a result sheet that only PDP signed. Out of the 16 result sheet tendered, only 4 had the signature and stamp of INEC and other parties that were involved in the election. And you expect justice, you expect to get justice like that? And you could not provide, just like the judges said when they were delivering their judgment. In the case of Ngige versus INEC in 2006, for judicial reference, there's a precedence to this, where you wanted to rely on documents. Is document enough? Documents that are not even substantial enough. Documents that are not relevant enough. A document that is not signed by INEC, a result sheet that is not signed by INEC, is not relevant to the case. It will be thrown out. That they admitted them in motion does not make it valid for judgment to favor you. How do you prove it? In the case of Igige, they have to, it was affirmed that oral evidence matters. Where you have to call on the polling, at least present some polling unit agents. You had agents. Every result sheet was signed by INEC, political parties agents. Let the agent prove that they were overvoting. I'm talking about overvoting. Overvoting issue reared its ugly head in the 2007 electoral bazaar undertaken by Professor Maurice Iwu in this country under the gradual supervision of former President Olusegun Obasanjo, where Oshomole they have to do recounts of results. So subsequent amendments in the act, in the electoral act, now said instead of going through the tedious process of recounting results during tribunal proceedings, to reduce the time, remember 180 days is given for judgment to be post-election tribunal activity. To reduce the time to that 180 days, let's provide in the electoral act a mechanism whereby overvoting is eliminated at the polling unit level. So if during the counting of votes, the result sheet, the presiding officer notice or anybody raise the alarm of overvoting, the law empowers the presiding officer to cancel such result sheet from that polling unit. That polling unit is automatically cancelled. And that was what INEC relied on. Why do you expect INEC to come and be helping you to prove a case that does not exist? INEC simply tender their CTC, certified true copy of results, presented the BVAS. BVAS is not for voting. BVAS is just an aspect of a voting system. It's a process. BVAS is restricted to aggregation, ascertaining, authenticating your voter's card. And it ends there. Every other thing that BVAS can do has not been activated as far as the laws of Nigeria is concerned. So how do you expect INEC to come and do your work for you? And those were what the judges relied on. It's giving an expert. Just, it's simple. There's nothing like miscarriage of justice
All right.
The judges were very lenient to them. If not, they should have awarded some fine on them.
Because they said
It's actually abuse of,
they said they won the election with a valid vote. If we have cases that they have raised about issues of some invalid vote or issues of over voting.
This is not about valid, invalid, over. Come and prove how you won the election with valid vote. An election you said it was mad by overvoting, that you cannot even prove. I just told you that overvoting was already eliminated. You remember during the cross-examination, during the proceedings of this case, you remember the man that came from, the witness that came from Ovia, where the deputy governor is from. That is the same local government.
This alarm raised.
That is the same local
Chief,
government the PDP won.
Chief, are you aware that some of these issues were raised at the points of at the collating point of announcing the result? The PDP had tried to raise all of this concern that their agent or some of the party agents were not part and parcel of the collation from the different collation centers.
Like what the judges said, you presented a collation center agent. It's not a presiding officer from the polling. It's not a polling unit agent. I'm talking of result authenticity staff from the polling unit. Election took place at the polling unit, not at the
so
collation
when
center.
result move from polling unit, where does it go to?
That's what I'm saying.
It moves from
if
polling
you have
units.
any, that is why I'm telling you that the result should be any
Signed result
any signed result
by the agent of the party
by the agent
at
of
the
the party,
polling unit
at
level.
the polling unit, and the presiding officer signed, that result is deemed authentic by the law.
So what
you cannot
happens?
begin to raise. Yes, nobody knows where you manufacture your
What
figure.
happens at the collation?
At collation, if you manufacture your figure that does not tally with what the unit polling unit result is, that is not the business of INEC, because the result was signed by your party agent. Was the result not signed? The same way, the same thing played out with Peter Obi and the presidential election. We saw it coming, but Nigerians like to work with sentiments. This is not about sentiment. This is about the law. You had agents across all the polling units in Edo State. How come you are able challenging something like this and you are tendering 16 result sheets?
Because they said they presented a lot of overwhelming evidences.
One of their star witness, Osaneni, said that it was not. You are going to give evidence in a case that you were not present, that you were not at the polling unit. You were at situation room. Did the electoral act make provision for situation room? Is there INEC situation room or PDP situation room or APC situation room in the electoral act? You think the judge is going to listen to you that you sat down in the comfort of a situation room with AC and you are reporting, misleading Nigerians that result that was the vote that
uploaded
took place
at IREF.
that was
some result. They said they held the result that was uploaded at IREF.
Oga, the result that were uploaded at I just told you now. You presented 16 result sheets, out of which only 4 are legal, are valid. Let me use that word.
So where did they get the rest from?
Automatically, they should be telling the world, because any result that is not signed by all parties that participated, Accord Party was in this election, AA was in this election, Labour Party was in the election, just as PDP and APC. Any result sheet that does not have the signature of other political party and it's only your political party and no INEC staff and INEC presiding officer, if you like, pack 1 million of such results. The admissibility is not a case. You may move motion for it to be admitted. But by the time the judges examine your evidence and discover that it's not relevant, it does not meet the basic requirement for evidence to stand, for any evidence to stand.
All right. I mean, because the tribunal have spoken and they have now threatened that they will also appeal this.
That's the beauty of the whole process. It's not a threat.
So, I mean,
it's not a threat.
We may not stand on that again.
You know,
let's look at, some person said, people are not happy about this judgment in Edo State. I don't know the feelings. I don't know the feelings of they have right there.
This is not a, we had a government that was sworn in November 11 and has been up and doing, working assiduously, day and night, to curb the different issues in Edo State. Tribunal was just a distraction by the PDP, the opposition group.
Do you feel the people are happy about this judgment?
The people that are not happy are the PDP opposition, the fragments, not all PDPs, because we have about 3 camps of PDP in Edo State right now. It's the Obaseki-led PDP faction that is not happy, those that went to court. You don't expect a man that is going to challenge you in court to be happy that judgment did not favor him.
Entirely the people of Edo.
Of course.
What does this judgment mean for them?
The governor landed today from the airport to the major streets and roads in Benin at the Bubbly, and he paid homage to the traditional, the reverend monarch of the Great Benin Kingdom. One of the oldest kingdoms on earth today, more than 2,000 years. And the Oba received him, gave him his blessing, and everywhere they are jubilated there. If the PDP are not happy, because we don't know, it's like you go through somewhere, somebody tell you that you don't know that social market people did not come to the market. You are not aware of that because you cannot count how many different people that come to the market. We have more than about 6 million, more than 4 million citizens in Edo State. Everybody across the 18 local government, we are happy right now. The good people of Edo State are happy that the man that is bringing governance closer to them. For the first time, we are feeling governance at grassroots. We are driving policies that touch lives. So this was just a minor distraction. We'll be eagerly waiting for this phase to go.
So that, it's not yet over.
Of course, so that the governor can concentrate well and consolidate on his good governance delivery. So it's a huge gain for us.
Because I'm looking at some quarters, I mean, the critics who've been receiving. Some person said the candidate and the governor of Edo State, Mount Popular, was not popular. Do you feel this judgment further affirms the popularity of the governor again? His
popularity was well affirmed at the poll in September 2024 when he defeated his closest opponent with more than 40,000 votes. That is a huge one. What the PDP, some of their states in Oshu, for example, what was the margin that Senator Adeleke used to defeat the APC candidate? A man that defeated you with more than 40,000, about 47,000 votes, and you are saying it's not popular. That was when the popularity was tested. Right now, it's good governance delivery.
Because the reason I'm asking that question...
And he goes on the street. Every day you watch him on television. You are a media man. Your station, your crew, they are always in Edo State.
The reason I'm asking that question...
project inspection and commissioning, you see everybody following him. Those are the real Edos. These are the real people he's working for.
Because some Nigerians, Chief, some Nigerians are having mixed feeling that under the situation that we have in the country, the mismanagement of APC, that APC cannot win election again.
No,
so that's
most of them, they are having this issue of, they said delusion is worse than megalomania. You know, a delusional mind think from the point of peasant illusory. They just dwell on primordial sentiment to assume a particular stand on issue, and the thing swallowed, they get involved and engulfed in it. They don't really know, they are drifted from reality. You understand?
What is the reality in this
case? The reality on ground. The reality on ground.
The hardship caused by your party at the center.
The action was
some said have drawn. I mean, the unpopularity of your party.
You should even be. I know you guys are also very surprised that with the propaganda of quote and unquote non-popularity of the APC, they are winning elections are locals. Politics is local. It's about conviction. If the people are convinced, the real voters, not the suit and tie wearing people that goes from living in the city who does not even vote. When they are convinced about you, that you have the mind to deliver, bring good governance to their doorstep. There are road infrastructure in my village now that I never knew that Okpewolo was going to. I never even fathom it. And they have been awarded. I'm talking of villages. Not to even talk of local government headquarters and what have you. A man that is touching in 100 days in office, he started the renovation and revamping of 100 schools, infrastructure. You saw what President Tinubu said about him just a few days ago during the Salah message. You saw it openly. And that is a man who took over from a former governor that withdrew, that collected $75 million from World Bank for the same Edo-based education. Edo-based that could not translate to infrastructure. Sarah reporter were in Igebo Primary School in Ibiana for Esako West local government. It went viral. Sarah reporter is not APC. Showing the level of primary school, they are in squalor. The dilapidated infrastructure of schools in Edo State. All right. And this man is revamping all. Look at the federal road that is influencing the federal project. You think the people are blind? It's not done. It's doing a Bini Aochi road. It's doing they are doing a Wari Saple road, and now the Minister of Works and representative of President Buhari just approved, and they have commissioned, started working on the Bini Asaba road. While himself is turning the Bini city on its own to a huge construction site. The first time in the history of Edo State is a backing of 3 major flyovers, returning the state to where it's supposed to be. It's a unique state.
All right.
It's not a state that we are not driven by sentiment of the cacophony of crowd. We know what we want. When we see who we want and what we want, what suits our needs, we stand by it. So, Governor Monday will suit the need of Edo people.
So you understand that it's a very big issue, and a lot of persons are watching to know how this may go that way, because there are a lot of concerns that have raised issues of the fact that your party wants you. I mean, there are indications that they want to capture. All arms of government.
That is a wrong word.
No, that's what.
We don't want to.
That
you don't capture. We win. In democracy, you win elections. You don't capture. That statement was made popular or became a political lexicon. Sadly, unfortunately, in our Fourth Republic, when Obasa just started the capturing. And he said it when he said the election was 2007 election was going to be a do or die.
All right.
No, so it's a PDP. It's a PDP language. We are progressives. We don't capture. We win election. We know election. Is about
I'm heading somewhere, Chief. At the local government, they have not conducted local government elections. So there is no way you said you've won elections in the local government. It has not been.
We have not even got it to the local government.
But let me make you some local government chairman are defecting to your party, and that's why they are saying
that
they
are not comfortable.
You are not comfortable. People from PDP to join your party.
You don't woo. If you are comfortable with somebody, if you are not comfortable where you are, and you feel, even as you are, if you have a calling in America tomorrow, you say, God bless America. You will drop the mantle of Arise, O compatriot, or Nigeria will hate thee. You'll be shouting, God bless America. When you find a comfortable place, you go there. APC is a comfortable place for the local government chairman. Remember, they were PDP. Even the suspended ones, and when they were now impeached by the same PDP-led legislative arms.
So is the governor not trying to use the instrumentality of governor government of the day?
We are talking of separation of power here.
Is that the situation?
We are talking of 3 tiers of government.
But is that the situation in
the district? Of course, because they willingly on their own came to the governor. You watch it. Did the governor send any vehicle from Benin to their respective local to convey them to his office?
There was a controversy surrounding the suspension of some of the local government chairmen. They were linked to the government of the day, in which is APC.
He never suspended the local government chairman. In fact, the suspension was pronounced by the Speaker of the House of Assembly, who ironically is PDP Speaker.
And today?
And they were the majority.
How about today?
That is today. We're talking of, you referred me to yesterday. Let's dwell on yesterday.
All right.
When we get to today, we'll talk about it.
But it's not an APC.
Of course, it's not. That is what I'm telling you. When you are convinced, you know.
So
Oga, let me go local. When you are driving and you see, even if you are using Google, and Google tells you and you discover there's no more road, what do? You put them for reverse.
It's not a threat that some of them are being threatened by APC.
There's no more road where they are. They feel there's no more road. Everybody has a political future. If your political future is not on your way of politics, you put on reverse. Go back. Go to your drawing board. Join the winning train.
How about for the people? If politicians are always making this
addition
based for their own personal interest, what happened for the people? Because people were happy if we have APC governor.
APC did not vote for Okpebholo. Edo people voted for Okpebholo. APC campaigned, convinced Edo people across the length and breadth, across the more than 192 words in Edo State, across the 18 local governments in Edo State, convinced them to vote, and they have not been disappointed. Less than 6 months down the line, a lot is happening. A lot. Are we going to talk about the money for the poor, the traders?
Today is not for that. All right, today is not for that. There was a leaked document, circulating online. I don't know if you saw that judgment. That leaked document. People were linked that to be a purported,
ironically,
concern
it has been denied by even the PDP. The PDP whose
some element of it.
Some element of PDP that leak it.
They say some element of that leaked document featured.
There was never element. What element are you going to talk about? That, for example, I've said on
they presume.
I've said in a different programs that the election was going to go, the tribunal judgment was going to go that way. Because from what I understand about what evidence is, under Evidence Act, Electoral Act, just simple carrying this thing, Google Electoral Act, ask yourself question. That the Electoral Act give you provision under section 137 that you can use document can represent you in evidence does not mean your evidence in the document should not be substantial. Does not mean it should not be relevant. Does not mean it should not be conclusive. Does not mean it should not be carrying integrity. Does not mean it should not be consistent.
So you
just went there to go and adopt anything. Okay, how can your party, only your party sign a result? And you see that as evidence because you have dropped it in court, you want the court to accept all that? Is that inconsistent with the law? Because the law said all parties in an election must sign a result sheet. So all these things does not count. We knew that they are building something on nothing, and they are expecting something. And they expected failure. When you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
All right, Chief, your governor, on his speech, from what we've gathered, has extended hands to
in the spirit of sportsmanship,
to other parties.
It's expected.
Do you feel that is, coming from indeed your party or your governor?
It's coming from our party and the governor. It's expected. It's a spirit of sportsmanship. It's about politics. You know, after World War, you
feel as well has what to offer also.
Everybody has, as far as you are a citizen of Edo State, you have anything, you have something to offer to Edo State when given the opportunity. That's why we call it olive branch. It's even a privilege.
So if things turn around at the Appeal House Supreme Court, will you be surprised?
Yes, I'll be surprised because with consistency with judicial jurisprudence, precedents, the laws, it's simple. You saw this judgment was very simple. They just nailed it because there's no room. You don't. Yes, you cannot give what you don't have.
They will not have opportunity to present more witnesses or evidence at the appeal court.
Is it allowed?
All right.
This is why they gave you enough time at the tribunal. I already thought of that. I know there's nothing they cannot do. Delusional people that can be able to mislead Gen Z on social media. Because they will go and be trying to apply, right, seeking approval or judicial order for them to present more evidence. That time has passed.
All right.
The appeal court is only going to review the judgment of the tribunal. It's not admitting any further evidence until it gets to Supreme Court.
All right. There was a sad situation, these issues of Urumi killing of 16 persons. How is the governor managing all of that?
He has provided absolute leadership with every sense of empathy. It was one of his biggest tests of leadership as far as security provision is concerned in Edo State. And he actually lived up to expectation from every aspect of it. You know, the issue is intertwined with a lot of things. From the people, they have been stressed, some of them, with this issue of herders, farmers clashes, where we also have issues of kidnappings that have been going on. That has been going on in that axis of the state. So, but in all that, you don't have rights to take laws into your hands, you know, especially when the people you have arrested or you have cornered in whichever circumstance, you cannot prove or they are not proven to be criminals. And you went ahead to carry out extrajudicial killings on them. Under any guise, it does not stand. That is not what Edo State is known for.
Is Edo peaceful? Because people were saying that President Tinubu should also declare state of emergency.
No. Those people that are clamoring for state of emergency, they don't know what state of emergency is. I think they should be referred to the laws. What give rights to.
The template of what we have in Rivers State.
No, is it the same template that some people?
What happened in Rivers State?
No.
What happened in Rivers
Let me explain to you.
There was no problem.
Let me explain to you.
It was just a threat.
Let me explain to you. The issue of Rivers is totally against what happened in Edo State. In Edo State, a group of local vigilantes from a village accosted some persons and they suspected them to be criminal and they carried out extrajudicial killings on them. The governor was not aware that, okay, he needed to come and do this, he did not do it, and he now failed his responsibility. Do you understand? That's a different thing. So the issue for the government become reactive. Government have to react to that, which is doing very well. In Rivers State, a governor woke up one day and said a complete institution of governance should be brought down. It's like Tinubu waking up one day and said National Assembly should be dismantled. And he put bulldozers there, supervise the demolition. No, don't laugh.
It was due.
Don't laugh.
It
Don't
was
laugh.
due for. It was due for. It was due for.
Let me explain something.
Renovation.
So when we talk of some of these things, I think we trivialize governance and democracy. And I'm even recommending there should be deliberate program to dwell on patriotism, governance, and democracy, because these children need knowledge, much of knowledge, to understand what democracy and governance is all about. Because every Tom, Dick, and Harry now understand or want to assume they know what give rise to emergency rule. You know, the governor on its own took laws into his hands in Rivers State by pulling down an arm of government, an organ of government. And you did not just pull down, you did not just destroy their house, you completely destroyed the democratic institution by only assuming, taking 3 people out of 30 of the members of the House of Assembly, recognizing them, which negate the provision of that is not even a quorum.
We will not dwell on that.
And you were presenting illegal budgets for 2 years. You know the budget of Rivers State, almost $1 trillion. And you were exercising an executive budget under such guise, under such illegality. And you did not stop there because of your political imbroglio with your supposed predecessor. You were not pronouncing some boys started carrying out bombings of national assets, and you said it did not come up to that. Do you know how much Nigeria lost as a country from the oil installation that were being bombed? And the thing was already escalated to Sagbama and Nembe in Bayelsa State. And the governor will come out and say the boys should hold on. He will give them at the right time. He will tell them what to do. You are threatening the Nigerian state. So you swore on oath to protect the territorial integrity of your state. By extension, anything that concerns Nigeria. So help you God. And you open mouth to break every law.
So I mean, we shouldn't justify the call.
It's a fallacy of verification and error of misplaced competence to compare those things. Does not happen.
So Edo is peaceful. That was that was what I was heading to. Is Edo peaceful?
It's very peaceful.
Okay.
And remember, peace is always threatened. You threaten it with different economic mechanism, social mechanism.
Those vigilante groups, because they are having issues and concern about those vigilante groups. What has the government, or what? I mean,
before
what would
now,
the
government has already. There's already the Edo State Command Center for Security and what have you, that is supposed to every vigilante registered, legalized. Ironically, this village group, these Uromi boys, they were not legal vigilante. You understand? So their activities as a group was already illegal, and their act was also illegal. I mean, you don't kill innocent people. And when the governor went to sympathize, you still see some persons coming on social media to grandstand and insult the governor. Why are you saying that? Do you know what would have led in a reprisal attack?
That was a peace. I mean, was to bring peace. Of course.
There was palpable tension in Edo State. We have the outside communities across the 18 local government. Just the same way we have the Southerners, because when it happened, nobody's going to say, let me itemize or let me separate Edo from every. You will see collateral damages. By extension, the action of Governor Bello has doused the tension that would have, if not checked, would have created crisis that will affect almost every Southern state.
A lot, of course, the sad situation right there. But congratulations for your party.
Thank you so much.
For getting a victory in the tribunal. We do hope
we got victory at the poll. We got a tribunal 2-0.
And probably waiting for the appeal and the Supreme Court.
Probably, if they decide to go. But my candidate advice.
So you are begging them not to go?
No, I'm not begging. I said they decide to go because you don't advise politicians. Politicians are the only people in this world that they know that there's no road. Somebody will tell him there is road there, sir.
All right. Chief Aruna Abremo, thanks so much for joining us on the program tonight.
Thank you so much.
And for your insights on Big Talk. Hello, everyone. Of course, that is a development coming from Edo State Tribunal, but we will now be turning attention to the recent appointment made by the president constituting new board members of NNPC. This leadership, would it get things working in our petroleum sector? Do stay with us. A senior energy consultant will be joining us virtually on the program. I'll be right back.
know that Global Television can be watched in Nigeria and all over the world?
Download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app for Android and iOS devices to watch Global Television real-time from around the world. What are you waiting for?
Start downloading and stay connected to Global Television.
Everyone, there are a lot of indications that more heads will roll in the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited as the new chief executive officer says that the reorganization will begin to shape things in the upstream, gas, power, new energy downstream, and the non-energy businesses. Of course, President Tinubu made the appointment just earlier today, appointed a new board of NNPC and, of course, the new chief executive officer. But what we can see from 1999 to 2019, we've seen those gentlemen, Nigerians, who, of course, have served as the chief executive officers of the NNPC. But a lot of reactions are trailing that appointment. And of course, joining us now is Dr. Wisdom, and a senior energy consultant virtually to discuss the expectations from the new leadership. Thanks so much, Doctor, for joining us on the program tonight. On a quick one, a lot of expectations on the new leadership of the NNPC board, and of course, as the president has equally reshaping all board members. A lot of expectation from your point of view, looking at the credibility of those persons that he has nominated, the capacity, the credentials. Do you feel they have all what it takes to get the job done?
Thank you very much, Michael, for having me this evening. I am more than certain that they have what it takes to get the job done. Going by the fact that these folks have, literally championed some of the best initiatives in some of the leading IOC companies. For example, the new group CEO of NNPC Limited. So there's no doubt in my mind. And there are two things. It's about the experience to get things done. It's also about the contacts to get things done. I'm going to put a little bit of context here. Recall when Shell Petroleum were trying to sell off their assets to divest their assets, they did make a promise that they were willing to reinvest in the Nigerian deep water portfolios if the federal government were going to be kind enough to allow the process go to Renaissance, which of course we now see that he's being headed by Tony Atta, which of course has a route from Shell Petroleum. So what you see there is that the contacts as good as the skill set that these folks bring. So they bring contacts and the skills to the table. Now, Michael, the trouble in my mind is how independent are they going to be allowed to work? And I'm saying this very honestly because we've got to be very truthful about situations. The NNPC has really been caught up playing in an interventionist role. We see the role that the NNPC played just recently in Afrexim Bank, trying to get loan for the nation. Of course, the crude swap deal, the crude upfront sales that we know typically do, where we get loans and then we get crude back loans. That's what it's called. Those loans are being facilitated by the NNPCL. So the question is, how much umbilical cord still ties the NNPCL to the Nigerian economy from an interventionist standpoint? The second question is, how independent are these folks going to be allowed to work and run the initiatives? Or are they still going to be taking directive from politicians? That's going to be a very counterproductive way, bringing smart people and asking them to do things the way you want them to be done. I mean, that's going to be very counterproductive. You said leadership in the country should set the direction, set the KPIs, provide the enablers, and let the team decide on how best they're going to meet those KPIs. So I think those are the bone of contention that we need to be worried about. But as for the team, they are absolutely spot on. They're very good.
Doctor, there are a lot of call on the new team to revisit the Naira for crude deal with local refineries. Do you feel that should be an urgent priority? Because, I mean, prior to the last chief executive exiting from the office, there were a lot of concerns about renewal of Naira for crude deal. We've witnessed a scorch in the prices of the PMS recently. Do you feel that if they quickly swing into action by fixing that Naira for crude deal, there might be some changes on the market?
Yeah, I mean, you are very right. The crude for Naira deal did bring some really good benefits to the domestic market. But the only thing is this, right? I think it's important for us not to look at the benefits of something, but also the side effects. I mean, there's absolutely no medications that you would have that doesn't have a contraindication, and the contraindication could be as simple as if you take too much of it, it would be harmful to you. Now, to understand what I'm trying to say, let's look at the opportunity cost of the crude for Naira deal. We've got a crude for Naira deal, and that crude for Naira deal means that we get domestic refining going very well. It's a better way than putting in consumption subsidies. Absolutely a much better way. But there's something you've got to understand, that we also lose the opportunity to earn the much needed dollars that we need to be able to finance our debt obligation, which are dollar denominated. That even some of our investment ambitions that are also dollar denominated. Equally, there is need to stabilize and increase our foreign reserves and stabilize the FX market. So the crude for Naira deal was never going to be permanent. That's the truth. That's why it had a sort of a review date, a 6-month review date. So the question is, what is the much better way of doing things? I think we need to ask ourselves, are we ready to run a system of a petroleum system in the downstream sector where there's a price fix, or are we going to run a totally free system? If we're going to run a free system, it is a willing buyer, willing seller. What does that simply mean? That simply means that we have both the imported variants competing very much so with the domestically produced variant. You cannot choose and say, look, on this occasion, we're going to do willing buyer, willing seller, but then comparatively with the imported variants, we're not going to think about that, because it's the imported variants are not there primarily to stifle domestic production. It is there to ensure that we do not have a repeat of what we had in the, let's say, in the cement industry, or what we had in the rice industry, where we have just a handful of people and they determine the prices. That's exactly where you don't want to be. So I think we should also grant some licenses, because I mean, if the imported guys are saying that they can bring in products at 779, and the Dangote is selling at 800 or something, which means we're getting it at about 930 naira for the most part in Lagos State, for example. Let's see if we can have a very good price competition, just opening up the market and let everything compete. But saying that they could revisit, that they will need to weigh whether the crude for Naira deal is creating much more of a side effect than the benefits, or whether the Nigerian government can afford, or the Nigerian economy can afford to deal with the side effects of the crude for Naira deal.
I mean, a lot of a good one right there, Doctor. I'm concerned about increasing the productivity. It's still a concern, issues of recruitment, training, and capacity building. Do you feel that there are more, approach, or a different approach that this leadership should consider in terms of increasing productivity in the sector?
Absolutely. I think increasing productivity in the sector is going to start with actually increasing productivity within the NMPCL, right? And I think, it also has to do with getting the right folks in there and setting the right KPIs. Let me just, pause a little bit and punctuate a little bit and tell you why it is important to get the right folks inside. Now, think about it. In the time past, we probably had a director for refining operations of a refinery. That refinery did not produce any liter of refined product, but then went on to spend a lot on turnaround maintenance. And there were no hits rolling on the floor, and it was acceptable. No one was called in for questioning. That's the sort of KPI that will be kind of productive. So the group CEO of the NMPCL or group GMD, if you want to call it that way, of the NMPCL has got a very tough job on his hands. I mean, it's not enough to have a facelift of the board leadership. I mean, you need to definitely, sort of have a rejig within the, sub variants of the NMPCL. Sometimes you may not be able to sack everybody and have a facelift. So I would correct the notion that that a lot of heads will roll. There are some places where you would have to just move people around, send them to more critical areas, and then bring in new folks that have what it takes to handle the tough critical areas. There may be times where you need to retrain people. There may be times where you need to send people on courses. There may be times where you actually have to, perhaps look at some of those areas, maybe the downstream sector, the refineries, and say, hey, look, we cannot run this as a company. Let's privatize it. Those are some of the tough conversations. Productivity means you're able to know and make a tough decision, a tough call on what are your liabilities and what are your assets, and how you can reduce your liabilities and how you can increase your assets. That's essentially what the board has to do right now. And I would not be surprised if the conversation about completely privatizing those refineries come up, because there'll be conversations about whether they're going to privatize the aspect of the operations and maintenance, or they're going to outrightly sell it off. But I think it is just good for them to hand it off and then focus more on the upstream side of things for the benefits of the Nigerian economy.
So you feel that there is a visible benefit of privatizing some of the Nigeria's downstream refined oil sector? Is that the argument?
Yes, I definitely feel, because the idea of the whole reform is to ensure that you bring in folks who clearly have a handle on things, and anything that is going to be taking so much of energy but bringing very little results, it's going to be taken off. At the end of the day, when you look at the refining equation, the Dangote refinery alone is very sufficient to deal with the supply equation for the nation and a little bit of importation. So it's not critical. If you also look at the role of the NMPCL as a sole importer, I think that is dwindling at the moment, because more of the conversation in terms of price, position is being decided by what the Dangote does. This is why I'm saying that if we can grant and if we can make some of those import licenses active, then we'll be able to truly tell what is the competitive, kind of nature of, between the market interaction between what the Dangote is doing and what the importers are doing. People would argue that, okay, the Dangote has, a market, export-oriented market that he has set up his, factory or refining stations to serve, and that's fine. But you need to understand that Nigeria is very unique. Nigeria has a lot of population, so whilst you may have to undercut the market with a cheaper price when you're competing with the international importers, we do have the population that still means you'll still be able to net out whatever amount of money that you're trying to still get ultimately. Some of those markets like Ghana don't even have our population. Some of those Cameroon, they don't have our population. So I think they should open up the market, privatize it. Not privatize, like open up the market, so willing buyer, willing seller, market competition between the international folks and the Dangote, and then we can have a fair equilibrium price. And that way, the NMPCL can completely transition from the interventionist role and start being more of the company just like Saudi Aramco or British Petroleum.
A lot of concern there. A lot of persons have described the recent change in the management as a big step. And of course, Dr. Wisdom have equally also shared that with us on the program. Thanks so much for joining us on the program tonight. We really appreciate you, Doctor.
Thank you very much. Happy New Month, and do enjoy the rest of your week and your month. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. A lot of concern looking at the second concerns raised by many experts. NNPCL shares to the public a lot of concerns about the leadership, recruiting, training, and increasing the productivity. Eyes are now on the new leadership to make things work. The Naira to crude is still a major conversation as far as the petroleum and oil sector is concerned. That, of course, is where we'll leave it for now. We'll continue to monitor all of that development and the rest of it to bring you to speed with what is the latest happening in our world. Thanks so much for joining us on the show and the program tonight. Big Talk. We do hope to see you again joining us. Bye-bye for now.